Hi there, welcome to this presentation. In the previous presentation, we had a look at dropWhile, and in this presentation, we're going to take a look at dropWhile. And just like in the previous presentation, I'm going to explain the method with an example. So the first thing we want to do is fire up the J shell. And in this presentation, I'm going to make use of credit scores. So I want to do here arrays.asList, and let's say I want to record the past 5 months of an individual's credit score. So I'll say 698, 699, maybe 700, 699 again, and 701. And I'll store this in a variable called scores. And what I want to do in this presentation is to get the average of the scores, but there's a twist. So what I want to do is I want to get the average only when since the score reached 700. So I will ignore the first two values and then only take the average of the remaining three, since this is when the individual reached a credit score of 700. So let's go ahead and implement this in imperative style. So I'm going to go ahead and say double average score, and then I'm going to make a variable here called double total and initialize it to 0. Then I'm going to say int count equal to 0 to count how many scores I will have, and then I'm going to make a boolean reached 700 to keep the state of whether I reached a score of 700 yet. Alright, next we're going to say for integer score from the scores, I'm going to go ahead and check if reached 700, or rather if not reached 700. So if you have not reached 700 and the score is less than 700, simply move on to the next number by saying continue. Then I'm going to go ahead and say otherwise total plus equals score count plus plus and reached 700 is equal to true. Alright, now before I can return the average, I need to do a check and see if the user did ever reach a score of 700. Otherwise, I might end up dividing by 0. So I'm going to go ahead and say if not reached 700. I'm going to go ahead and say throw new runtime exception. You need a score of 700 to qualify. Alright, and then finally I'm going to say return the total divided by the count. Alright, and there you have it. But this was a lot of code. In fact, I would rather want to write this code in an IDE and not on the J shell. And if we run this code, we should expect an answer of 700. And sure enough, we get that, because if we look here, we will want to ignore the first two values and then just sum these three and divide it by 3. So 700 looks about right. But that was a lot of code. So let's implement this in a functional style. So I'm going to go ahead and say scores.stream, and then I'm going to say dropWhile, and say given a score, drop while the score is less than 700, and then I'm going to say map to double. And so basically, given an integer, I just want the double equivalent. And then I'm going to say average, just give me the average. And in the event that there is no average, right, so there is no credit scores to get the average of, I will say or else throw, and here I can put my new runtime exception u and fill out the rest of a nice error message. And there you have it. The same answer as before, however, much more concise and expressive. And as I mentioned in the previous presentation, there's a more logical flow of steps going on here. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.